Welcome, everyone, to STEM for Everyone's first podcast episode. Through this podcast, we hope to share our love for STEM with our listeners as well. We hope you enjoy this episode.
Chemistry is the scientific study of the behavior of matter, dealing with atoms, molecules, and everything else that helps us understand why substances behave the way they do. Surprisingly, this empirical science has its roots in a not so empirical origin, the ancient study of alchemy. Prevalent during the 8th century, alchemy was a fascinating intersection of philosophy, spirituality, and experimental observation which believed in the transmutation of matter.
In particular, alchemists strive to convert ordinary base metals into glistening gold and find an elixir of life, a magical solution which would prolong the life of those who drank it. While they obviously didn't find what they initially sought, through the process of what appeared to be hopeless successions of heating obscurely named materials, alchemists made several discoveries which paved the way for modern chemistry.
For instance, alchemists have explored a variety of corrosive salts, mostly vitriol like copper and iron sulfates, alums like potassium sulfates, and sodium and ammonium sulfates that have been applied to the action on metals. Interestingly, the manipulation of these materials led to the discovery of mineral acids, which we find so often in chemistry, with its origin dating way back to the 13th century in Europe.
The first was most likely nitric acid, which was produced by distilling potassium nitrate with vitriol or alum. There are quite a few famous alchemists who have helped pave the way for modern chemistry with their discoveries. One such a famous alchemist was Paracelsus, a 16th century Swiss physician. He became recognized as the world's first toxologist because he discovered the relationship between dosage and toxicity. That poisons in small doses could be beneficial to humans, whereas poisons in larger doses could be lethal.
Another famous alchemist was Andreas Liberius, a German alchemist. He wrote what is thought to be the first chemistry textbook in 1597. This book explained the alchemist's experience in simple terms that everyone could understand. However, in the 17th century, British inventive philosopher and scientist Robert Boyle was by far the most influential alchemist who really helped transform alchemy into chemistry.
Alchemists during his time had a theory of four elements of fire, air, water, and earth. The four elements were viewed by alchemists as magical substances whose presence could be proven solely through reasoning. However, certain substances, such as gold and silver, could not be reduced to these elements by fire, according to Boyle. He also noticed that certain compounds seemed to be composed of more than four elements.
Boyle also believed that elements were solid substances whose presence could only be established by experiment. He didn't actually condemn the four elements and didn't propose any alternatives. Instead, he wanted chemists to determine the elements based on empirical evidence. He brought the experimental approach to chemistry, which had previously only been used in physics.
Boyle helped to provide comparisons between the two sciences, demonstrating that chemistry was just as important as physics in terms of research. Chemists' social and intellectual status was elevated above that of second-rate magicians. There were many influences and alchemists who paved the way for modern chemistry. However, Boyle had a more of an impact with his work, and his laws are still studied by us today.
Thank you for listening to this episode of STEM for Everyone's podcast. We hope you enjoyed it.